Artificial intelligence is no longer an experimental add-on to medicine. It has begun to weave itself through the full life cycle of care, from the instant an image is captured to the day a brand new molecule enters first-in-human trials. On a typical morning at Northwestern Medicine, every chest X-ray arriving from 11 hospitals is first read by a generative AI assistant that drafts a 95% complete report in the radiologist's own voice. Over 5 months and nearly 24,000 studies, that system trimmed average turnaround time by 15%, and for the busiest consultants by up to 40%, while simultaneously flagging life-threatening findings such as pneumothorax before a human ever opened the case, an efficiency gain that veteran readers liken to adding a tireless junior resident to the team. Those gains are not confined to radiographs. In digital pathology, a 2024 meta-analysis spanning 152,000 whole slide images and 48 deep learning pipelines found mean diagnostic sensitivity of 96% and specificity of 93%, performance on par with and often exceeding senior histopathologists. The authors did caution that many studies still carry high-risk bias flags, underscoring how vital transparent reporting and prospective validation remain, but the direction of travel is clear. Algorithms trained on exquisitely labeled data can already stand shoulder to shoulder with human experts for common cancers. AI's reach widens once a diagnosis is in hand. A 6-month, 72-person randomized trial published this May paired every participant with a cloud-hosted digital twin that re-optimized insulin delivery settings every fortnight. Time and range climbed from 72 to 77%, glycated hemoglobin dropped from 6.8 to 6.6%, and no extra clinic visits were required. The greatest benefit accrued to people who began with poorer control, suggesting that such adaptive systems may close, rather than widen, inequality gaps in diabetes outcomes. Oncologists are also leaning into machine support. At this year's ASCO meeting, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, and OneCell.ai showcased multimodal pipelines that ingest tumor genomics, transcriptomics, and spatial omics, then simulate drug sensitivity in silico before a single biopsy is shipped. Commentators hailed 2025 as a turning point year in precision oncology, noting that algorithmic triage is already shrinking trial sizes and accelerating accrual for basket studies targeting rare molecular signatures. The same computational horsepower is reshaping discovery itself. Platforms such as Recursion's Deep Learning Factory start with petabytes of cell imaging data, enumerate virtual libraries of millions of candidate compounds, and prune them to a few hundred wet lab hopefuls in weeks. 8 AI-designed molecules are now in human trials, among them RISI 3565, a selective MALT1 inhibitor chosen from just 344 virtual leads, dosed its first volunteer in April 2025 under the Accelerize protocol for relapsed B-cell lymphomas. Early-phase readouts are still years away, but a spring 2025 industry analysis reported phase 1 success rates approaching 80-90% for AI-first pipelines versus the historical 50-60%, suggesting that better target compound matching is already paying dividends. Investors have noticed. DeepMind spin-out Isomorphic Labs closed a $600 million Series A in March. Zyra Therapeutics and 2 other AI-centric biotechs each raised billion-dollar rounds in the past 18 months. Analysts argue that foundation model economics, train once, fine-tune everywhere, are converting drug R&D from artisanal craft to semi-industrialized workflow, with per-asset capital requirements falling accordingly. Even so, a July HSBC survey showed venture flows cooling sharply in Q2, a reminder that exuberance is being tempered by macro funding cycles and the sheer cost of scaling wet lab validation. Rapid progress sharpens ethical contours. Europe's Artificial Intelligence Act, finalized in 2024 and supplemented by compliance guidelines issued on the 18th of July, 2025, classifies most clinical decision support software as high risk, demanding rigorous cybersecurity, model evaluation, and adversarial testing before market entry, with fines of up to 7% of global turnover for non-compliance. Across the Atlantic, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration's December 2024 guidance on predetermined change control plans tells developers exactly how to document the model updates a learning device will receive after clearance, effectively moving regulation from one-off snapshots to continuous lifecycle oversight. Parallel draft guidances released in January 2025 go further, urging sponsors to quantify performance across demographic subgroups and to file bias mitigation strategies alongside pivotal data. Privacy and data stewardship remain perennial anxieties. Cloud-hosted imaging archives and multimodal EHR lakes widen the attack surface, yet without pooled data, robust AI falters. Health system consortia have responded by adopting federated learning frameworks that keep raw data behind institutional firewalls while sharing only encrypted model updates. Pilot deployments have already passed HIPAA audits in the US and earned fast-track approvals under the EU AI Act's cybersecurity clauses, signaling a regulatory preference for architectures that minimize data egress. Clinicians worry as much about professional identity as about privacy. Surveys by the Radiological Society of North America now frame AI as a force multiplier, not a job killer, and their January 2025 statement emphasizes human-in-the-loop governance. Algorithms should draft, prioritize, and suggest, while board-certified specialists remain legally and ethically accountable for final decisions. Yet technology's impact on well-being is nuanced. A 2024 JAMA network open cross-sectional study linked high AI usage to higher burnout scores among Chinese radiologists, hinting that badly designed workflows can amplify stress rather than relieve it. By contrast, ambient AI scribes that turn natural conversation into structured notes have produced the opposite effect. Kaiser Permanente's rollout across 40 hospitals cut after-hours documentation time by 30%, and, according to physician surveys, let doctors concentrate on what we really came here to do: engage with patients. Those patient encounters hint at perhaps the most consequential change. Relational bandwidth is expanding. When the computer quietly synthesizes laboratory trends and drafts a coherent plan, the clinician can pivot from screen to face, meeting the patient's eyes rather than the progress note template. Surveys of U.S. clinics deploying AI chatbots for appointment triage and follow-up report satisfaction rates above 70%, and a 40% drop in routine call center volume, freeing staff for complex queries. Trust, however, is hard-won. Studies of chatbot usage show that a quarter of respondents will abandon the tool if it fails to disclose how their data are stored, or if it cannot explain its recommendations in plain language. Taken together, these threads sketch a future in which machines shoulder the pattern recognition grind, spotting the micronodule, tuning the insulin basal rate, exploring the combinatorial galaxy of small molecules, while humans focus on ambiguity, empathy, and shared decision-making. Regulation is converging on continuous monitoring rather than gatekeep and forget. Venture capital is shifting from blockbuster bets to platform economics, and the workforce is iterating toward hybrid skill sets that value prompt engineering and algorithmic oversight alongside bedside manner. Early adopter networks already report shorter turnaround times, lower clerical burden, and higher patient experience scores, suggesting that when thoughtfully integrated, AI does not dilute the human touch, but frees it to flourish. None of this is automatic. The data that train tomorrow's models must reflect the people they aim to serve, or bias will calcify. The clinicians who supervise those models must be equipped to question and override them, or automation bias will creep in. And the regulators who guard public safety must balance agility with caution, lest life-saving tools be delayed or unsafe ones rushed. Yet the trajectory is unmistakable. AI is on its way to becoming the connective tissue of modern medicine, translating petabytes of heterogeneous data into timely, personalized, and increasingly equitable care. The challenge for the next decade will be less about proving the concept than about scaling it responsibly, so that every radiograph is read swiftly, every insulin dose adapts in real time, and every promising molecule reaches patients years ahead of schedule, with human judgment firmly, visibly, and confidently at the helm. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Share this with everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.